The fortress walls had fallen 3 days ago. Princess Mira stood in the highest tower of what remained of Keldereth Keep, her silver gown torn and stained with dust. Below, the grimworm circled the ruins like a vulture, its massive wings blocking out the sun. The creature was the size of a warship, scales black as midnight, eyes burning with an ancient hunger. It had already devoured half her guard and scattered the rest to the winds. She had stopped screaming for help on the second day. No one was coming. The neighboring kingdoms had their own troubles, their own monsters to face in this age of darkness. Her father's army was 3 weeks away, if they marched without rest. The grimworm would not wait 3 weeks. It would not even wait 3 more days. Already it grew impatient, smashing its tail against the tower's foundation, sending tremors through the stone. Myra gripped the windowsill and looked out at the devastated landscape. Smoke rose from burning villages. The forests were trampled flat. This was how she would die, alone and forgotten, just another casualty in a war between ancient evils and a world too weak to fight back. Then she saw him, single figure walking across the broken fields. Not riding, walking. He moved with a steady gait that suggested either supreme confidence or complete ignorance of the danger ahead. He wore no armor, just a dark coat that hung to his knees and boots meant for long roads. A bow was slung across his back, and a quiver of arrows hung at his hip. The grimworm saw him too. The beast landed with an earth-shaking crash, positioning itself between the tower and the approaching stranger. It lowered its massive head, fangs bared, and released a roar that shook the very air. Birds fled from trees 5 miles away. The stones of the tower rattled in their mortar. The man kept walking. Mira leaned further out the window, her heart pounding. Was he mad? Did he not understand what he faced? The grimworm had killed dragons. It had destroyed armies. What could one man with a bow possibly accomplish? The stranger stopped 50 paces from the beast. He was young. She saw now, perhaps 30 summers at most. His hair was dark and short, his face unshaven. He looked tired, like he had been walking for a very long time. But his eyes were clear and sharp as he studied the creature before him. The grimworm lunged. Its jaws could have swallowed a house. They snapped shut on empty air as the man dove and rolled, coming up with his bow already in hand. He loosed an arrow in one fluid motion. The shaft struck the grimworm's shoulder and bounced off harmlessly. Myra's hope died as quickly as it had sparked to life, but the stranger showed no disappointment. He simply knocked another arrow and fired again, this time at the beast's eye. The grimworm turned its head, and the arrow skittered off its brow ridge. It charged, moving with terrifying speed for something so large, its claws tearing furrows in the earth. The man ran, not away, Myra realized, but in a wide arc, circling the creature. He fired arrow after arrow as he moved, each shot carefully placed. None penetrated the scales, but each one struck true to its target. The neck, the joint of the wing, the ridge above the eye. He was mapping the beast, she understood, learning its movements and measuring its defenses. The grimworm grew frustrated. It launched itself into the air, wings creating hurricane winds that flattened the grass and sent debris flying. Myra shielded her face as dust and pebbles peppered the tower. When she looked again, the beast was diving, talons extended to rend and tear. The stranger waited until the last possible moment, then threw himself sideways. The grimworm's claws missed him by inches, gouging deep wounds in the earth. Before it could recover, he was moving again, this time climbing. He leaped onto a pile of rubble, then to a broken wall, then to the remnants of an archway, always staying just ahead of the snapping jaws and swiping claws. He was leading it, Mira realized, drawing it toward the base of her tower. The grimworm followed, consumed by rage, no longer thinking. It crashed through the remains of the courtyard, smashing aside stone and timber in its fury to reach this tiny, infuriating creature that refused to die. A man reached the tower's base and turned. He stood there, bow lowered, as the grimworm reared up to its full height. The beast opened its maw, and Myra could see the fire building in its throat. The orange glow that meant death. The stranger raised his bow one last time. He had one arrow left. Myra watched, unable to breathe as he drew the string back. The grimworm's flame rushed forward, a torrent of fire that would incinerate him where he stood. The arrow flew. It entered the beast's open mouth and drove upward, through the soft palate, through bone and brain, to bury itself in the grimworm's skull. The fire died in the creature's throat. Its eyes went dim. For a long moment it stood frozen, as if unable to comprehend its own death. Then it toppled, slowly at first, then faster, crashing to the earth with a sound like thunder. The impact shook the tower, cracked the stones, and sent a cloud of dust billowing into the sky. Silence fell over the ruins. A man stood in the shadow of the fallen beast, bow still raised, chest heaving. Slowly he lowered the weapon. He looked up at the tower, his eyes finding Myra's window, and for a moment their gazes met across the distance. Then his knees buckled, and he sat down hard on the ground. Myra ran. She flew down the tower stairs, taking them 2 and 3 at a time, heedless of her torn dress or her bruised feet. She burst out into the courtyard and sprinted across the broken stones to where the man sat. Up close, she could see he was wounded. His coat was scorched, his hands burned from the edge of the grimworm's flames. Blood seeped from a dozen cuts where flying debris had struck him. But he was smiling, a small, tired expression. "You are safe now," he said. His voice was rough, accented in a way she had never heard before. "You killed it," Myra breathed. "You killed the grimworm. How?" He shrugged, wincing at the motion. Patience, observation, one good shot. He looked at his empty quiver, and running out of alternatives. "Who are you? What kingdom sent you?" "No kingdom. I am just a traveler." He tilted his head, studying her. "You are the princess, yes? Myra of Caldereth?" "I am. And you are?" "My name is David." He glanced at the dead grimworm. "I heard there was a monster here. I have made it my business to deal with monsters. Are all humans like you?" The word felt strange on her tongue. Humans were legend in her world, beings from beyond the stars who appeared rarely and without warning. David laughed, though it turned into a cough. "No, most are much smarter. They would have brought explosives." He pulled himself to his feet, swaying slightly. "We should go. Where there is one grimworm, there may be others. And this much noise will attract attention." Myra caught his arm as he stumbled. "You need a healer. I need to keep moving." But he leaned on her anyway, his strength fading now that the battle was done. "Then we move together," Myra said firmly. "You saved my life. The least I can do is keep you alive long enough to recover." David looked at her, and something in his expression softened. "All right. Together, then." They walked through the ruins of Caldereth Keep, the princess and the human, leaving the body of the grimworm behind them. The sun broke through the clouds for the first time in days, casting long shadows across the broken land. Behind them, the age of monsters was ending. Ahead, a new story was beginning.